What's going on there, everyone? Another big win for Trump on the asylum. Let's get Supreme Court lets new Trump asylum restrictions take effect from the Daily Caller. The Supreme Court will allow the Trump administration to enforce new immigration rules against asylum seekers at the southern border. The High Court did not give reasons for its Wednesday night decision or disclose a vote count, as is typical of orders of this nature. Justice Sonia Sotomayor wrote a short dissent with Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg joined. Lovely. In effect, the restrictions deny asylum to migrants who pass through another country on their way to the U.S. without first seeking protection status there. Border Patrol has intercepted approximately 350,000, asylum seekers from the Northern Triangle countries of El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras in 2019. The new restrictions would generally deny asylum to those migrants if they did not first seek protection in Mexico. I could have swore that was already the thing. I could be wrong there, but I could have swore that you were supposed to already go to the next safe country, which Mexico is considered a safe country. So I don't know how anyone, Sotomayor or Ginsburg, could really be against this, because it already seems to go with really the rules that were instated already. It's very weird, very weird. The rule includes exceptions for victims of human trafficking or migrants who are denied asylum elsewhere. President Donald Trump cast the ruling as a significant victory in a tweet following the decision. Big United States Supreme Court win for the border on asylum. But like I was saying, it seems like most of this was already something that was, I think, law. I don't know what's going on. I think to me it seems like the win is that they actually get to enforce the law now. I don't know. It's kind of weird. A coalition of migrant and civil rights groups challenged the new rules in federal court. The American Civil Liberties Union represents the plaintiffs. The American Civil Liberties Union. Let's think about that for a second. The American Civil Liberties Union. In nowhere there does it say immigrant. The Immigrant Civil Liberties Union. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting how someone with the name American Civil Liberties Union is fighting for non-U.S. citizens. It's very strange. U.S. District Judge John Tiger entered an injunction forbidding the government from enforcing the rules across the country in July. I do believe he was from California, so that checks out. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals narrowed Tiger's injunction, saying it could take effect within the Ninth Circuit's jurisdiction, but not beyond it. That meant that the third country transit bar could be applied to the migrants intercepted in New Mexico or Texas, but not Arizona or California. The Ninth District also said Tiger could reimpose a nationwide injunction if he made additional factual findings supporting such a move. Tiger did so and restored a nationwide injunction against the contested rule Monday. The ACLU styled Trump's rule as an asylum ban, which it's clearly not, before the Supreme Court. The organization said it violates two federal laws, the Immigration and Nationality Act and the Administrative Procedure Act. The INA establishes a general rule that all comers may apply for asylum, the ACLU argued. Though there are narrow circumstances in which asylum can be denied based on the availability of a third-party alternative, the ACLU said those conditions are not met here. The plaintiffs also say that the rules should have been subject to a public notice and comment period. I think we've been seeing a public notice and comment period for years now. And it's starting to become the overwhelming consensus that Americans don't want so much just these hordes of people coming in from South America and Central America. Americans just don't want that. Unfettered migration? No. Americans don't want that. The administration asked the Supreme Court to let those rules take effect. But the justice refused in a 5-4 vote in December 2018. Like the first ban, this ban would upend a 40-year unbroken status quo established when Congress first enacted the asylum laws in 1980. The ACLU told justices in court papers. But this second ban is far more extreme than the first. The first one at least allowed individuals who presented themselves at a port of entry to apply for asylum. The current ban would eliminate virtually all asylum at the southern border, even at ports of entry, for anyone except Mexicans. I don't really have a problem with that. I don't think anyone should have a problem with that. It's not like we're saying you can't leave your country if for whatever reason. You can. But you just can't come through a bunch of other countries to get here because you're really an economic migrant and not an asylum seeker. If you're seeking asylum, the next safe country should be perfectly acceptable to you. Perfectly acceptable. I don't understand the problem there. America shouldn't have to hold the burden of all the world's less well-off people. Why should we hold that burden? Because then they're going to come here and it's going to burden our whole system because now we got a bunch of other people we got to account for. And sometimes accounting for them is pretty hard. The court should not permit such a tectonic change to the U.S. asylum law, it added. I disagree. We need to be making these decisions. Someone needs to make them. And thank God we got a president now who's not afraid to take on the issue. Because I tell you what, people, this is one of the first steps for the people with a more left-leaning view on this situation. Securing the border, putting up a border wall, putting up lighting and sensors and actual boots on the ground down there is the first step in actual immigration reform. You gotta do the tough stuff first, and then you can start working on like better figuring out the laws you want about it and how about these people can go about becoming American citizens properly. It all starts with the tough action, unfortunately. The government countered that the INA grants the administration broad discretion in determining when to grant asylum. Current conditions necessitate the third county transit bar, it says, citing the unprecedented surge of migration at the southern border. The government said its rules would help distinguish serious applicants from frivolous claims and alleviate mounting pressure and an overburdened system. Yeah, that's kind of our goal, isn't it? The numbers are staggering, people. Even now, after, a 60% reduction or something like that, it's still like 50, 60,000 people per month trying to get here. That's too many people. That's a lot. I mean, that's whole towns, whole U.S. towns, like, worth of people coming in every month. That's kind of crazy. We do got to get a handle on that because that's not good for us, and it inevitably wouldn't be good for them either. Because too much stuff changes when there's that many people coming at one time. Elsewhere in its filings, the government said it was exercising a foreign policy exception to notice the comment requirements. The asylum bar is part of a broader negotiation with Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador over the migration crisis, government lawyers said. The injunction prohibits the executive branch from implementing an interim final rule adopted to address an ongoing crisis at the southern border, with significant implications for ongoing diplomatic negotiations and foreign relations. Solicitor General Noel Francisco told the justices in court papers. Sotomayor noted in dissent that the High Court rarely lifts injunctions while litigation is going on in lower courts. She accused the Trump administration of abusing procedural rules to preemptively bring disputes to the Supreme Court, as when the government sought permission to reprogram military funds for the border wall or implement its ban on transgender military personnel. In both of those cases, the justices allowed enforcement of Trump's policies while litigating continued. Yeah, why not? Why not? Because then you also, when the ban's on while there's litigation, you can see how the ban actually affects things. You can get a taste for what it's actually doing because it's being implemented. To me, that gives the justices a lot better perspective of what the ban is supposed to do, because they can kind of, for a little bit, see it in action while they're trying to figure out the matter. To me, that makes sense. I don't understand. I don't understand what their arguments are. Granting a stay pending appeal should be an extraordinary act, Sotomayor wrote. Unfortunately, it appears that the government has treated this exceptional mechanism as a new normal. Historically, the government has made this kind of request rarely. Now it does so reflexively. The case is number 19A230, Barr versus East Bay Sanctuary Covenant. Well, all I can say is I am very glad that the court upheld this and is allowing this. This unfettered immigration. You see, the left tends to think that all these people are asylum seekers. That's crazy to think that many people would need to seek asylum. If that many people coming from the same place, or same places, needed to seek asylum because they were in fear of their lives, man, you would have to bring into question some type of military action against their governments, wouldn't you? I mean, think about it. Think about it. If that many people from some of these countries, I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of people, need to seek asylum, doesn't that mean that their government is probably a problem? Because they can't figure anything out on their own. People feel they need to leave. That's a problem. That's a problem. But I just don't understand. There's too many. All the people on the left just want to say these are asylum seekers, when it's not asylum that these people are seeking. It's economic assistance and probably our welfare programs. If you look at the statistics, like 60% of the people on welfare are immigrants, illegal or not, which is crazy to me. That's pretty insane. Welfare and all that, which is a big reason of why I don't like the asylum, or not asylum, but just certain immigration things, because I believe to immigrate here, period, no matter what circumstance, you can't get welfare until you've paid in for at least 5 years. I would say at least 5 years. You've been here for 5 years and you've never had to use it. That's a good thing. That's a good thing, because you haven't, to me, paid enough in to earn that. That's just my view on the matter. Because Americans, when we go to work and we pay taxes, we are paying into the coffer of the welfare system. So if we run into a bind, say you lose your job or something like that, then we have the welfare system that you paid into, and you can use that as a little bit of a lifeline during a hard time. It's not, I don't believe the welfare system, even for Americans, should be something that is permanent, which we see a lot, especially in my local area. There are so many people on welfare that shouldn't be on welfare. Shouldn't at all. I'm talking about people that work, both, like parents say, both people work jobs, decent jobs. They're making a decent living, and they're still getting welfare. It's like, why are you getting welfare? Because that just shows some of the abuse. There are plenty of abuses to our welfare system. But I'm kind of going off on a tangent. Back to this, just good. It's a good thing that they are gonna let the asylum rules take effect. We need to change them. Obviously, when you have 150, well, as little as 50,000 up to 150,000 per month of people trying to come here just to abuse the system. Come on. Come on. We need new rules, obviously, because the old ones aren't working. That's kind of what happens. When something's not working, you change it to maybe where it'll work better for us. I don't see the problem there. I don't see how these people can really argue this. It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. And it really doesn't help the left with their arguments when there is documentation of people from the left, these activist types, and even members of our own government going into places like Mexico and trying to coach these people how to get here. You know? Telling them what they should say. Telling or making them seem like they can't understand English or anything like that at all to benefit them. This is insane. I mean, what the left's doing about immigration and everything is absolutely insane because they're not doing anything that helps us here, you know, in the homeland. Seems like they're really just pandering to a voter base that they know they can lock down. It's sad. It's sad. It really is. It just it really makes me think that you know, since the black vote, I think a lot of people have opened their eyes to the Democratic Party. And they're scared that they're going to lose a lot of the black vote. Because so many people have done their research and realized that the Democratic Party was never the party that was friendly towards minority communities. I don't like calling them minorities because they're Americans. And as Americans, we are the majority. All of us. But, you know. But yeah, so I just don't get it. They're losing the numbers on the black vote, so they're trying to import a new vote, new voter base. That's how I see it when it comes to the left and why they always argue about everything when it comes to immigration law. Why they're so fervent on trying to deny the Trump administration any changes on anything for that matter. It doesn't make any sense. But I'd love to hear your comments. Big win for Trump administration and for Americans as a whole. And as always, like, share, subscribe. I will catch you on the flip side.